Hi everyone!
Hi everybody!
Hello, happy Valentine's Day in 2 days.
Happy Friday!
Yes, happy Friday, thank God it's Friday.
And happy Saturday for the rest of the world.
Yep. Yes, hello everyone, how are you? Today we will be talking about how to find love. Yes, we're wearing red, we're being appropriate. We have our mugs, our matching mugs. Sure.
Oh yeah.
The other way.
The other way, hold on.
Matching mugs.
And we are drinking rose tea.
Yes, we're drinking rose tea. We're just in it. We're in it to win it. This is going to be fun, so we're all excited about it. So, we're talking about how to find love. So I posted a video on Wednesday about some tips on how to find love, and we're going to talk about those and expand upon it in this live. So at any point, if you have any questions about your experiences on finding love or anything like that, let us know. So then, all right, so let's begin. So yeah, love. Love is an interesting topic. We're both past life therapists, and I'm an energy reader as well. So I recently also wrote an article about 2 days ago about how to actually balance out healthy relationships. So if you want a little bit about love, you can go there to that article. It's on my website at lotuspatholistic.com/wellness. So soul connections. Soul connections are rooted in the way that we create the bonds between us. Hey, Tracy, how are you?
Hi, Tracy.
Yes. So yeah, soul connections are how relationships come about. And the way that I see things energetically when I read people, especially couples, is love is the energy that comes off of a soul connection when it's good, when there's chemistry, emotional, integrity, and all kinds of stuff. Love is an interesting topic because it's on everyone's minds all the time, and it's also something that's always been on my mind all my life. So it's been interesting. But yeah, so let's talk about how to find love. There is a 4-pillar foundation when it comes to finding love. And for me, my steps in the video that I posted are some basics that are based on those 4 pillars. Those 4 pillars are the mental, the emotional, the spiritual, and the physical. You have to be able to handle all those things in order to find love or to attract love in your life. So yeah, let's begin. About love. And what is your perspective on love, by the way?
Right, so I'm a karmic resolution facilitator, and I work with trauma, limiting beliefs, patterns that keep repeating from, throughout lifetimes, from one lifetime to the next. And so I've experienced quite a lot when it comes to relationships. And so many times we see ourselves being attracted, to specific people or specific situations. And usually we tend to repeat that. And this is because there's something similar that we did in our past lives and we carried along in this lifetime. And today I want to talk with you on how to actually practically break free in a sense from these patterns and how to embrace love for what it is.
I agree. So those steps, I believe, need to be taken in order to find love, and also my experience to be able to discover it for yourself. So let's talk about the first one. The first one, number 1, is about discovering who you are by embracing your alone time. So why this is, to me, one of the more important things is it's the mental pillar of being able to set a foundation for your love. So discovering that alone time and understanding that you need breaks in between your relationships. All of you out there are going to know what it feels like to be jumping from relationship to relationship. Don't do that. It's very unhealthy emotionally. You want to be able to free yourself before you actually jump into something new. So always make sure that you are completely single and completely, untethered from your relationships before. And also understanding exactly who you are. You have to focus on your individual needs. And you won't know that if your head is clouded by somebody else's thoughts and exes and stuff like that. It's very important that you do so. And I think that it's one of the main things that you have to focus on when you want to discover love. Definitely. What do you think about that one? Well,
I've experienced from my situation where I've seen myself throughout time, this lifetime I'm talking about, where I take quite a lot of time before I move from one relationship to the next. But I've also met many people who try not to have that in-between time. And so that's why some people cheat, right? Because they try to pass from one relationship to the next. And when you don't have that in-between time, you don't have time to self-reflect. Why exactly? So there are a bunch of things, you need to keep in mind. So why your relationship is not working on the first place? Mm-hmm. Why do you have the need to cheat? Does your current boyfriend, girlfriend, whoever you're dating, are they like your ex in some sort of sense? Or what exactly have you learned from this relationship? And so when you don't sit down to have all these realizations about yourself and about the other person, these remain unresolved. And so you take the baggage to the next relationship. And of course, we're not talking here not to have baggage at all. There's no freaking way, I'm going to say it like that you don't have baggage. Like, even me and Leo have been working for so long, on our spiritual growth, and we're working, personal development, but there's always something that hasn't been completely resolved. And eventually we're going to carry it in the next relationship. And we'll just hope that, our partner will be able to help us to some point, work together to resolve that. But if, let's say, you could just bring 10 cookies and you can just bring 2 cookies. So it's going to be easier to resolve those 2 cookies than those 10. And that's what we're trying to do right here. What do you think?
Definitely. I think that being ready before you find love and being finished with previous loves is very important. You have to be able to solve your mental stability and the cases with, your thoughts. You have to make sure that your thoughts are on point before you think you're looking for love. So if you're single and you want to find somebody, you have to clear your mind, because what you think you can become. So if you're just cluttered in your head, you're not going to be able to find love that way. So it's very important that with number one, you discover who you are, take time to yourself, and understand that alone time before relationships and also before you actually find love is super important. So prepare for it, make sure you do it, and don't forget it. It's very, very important. So the second point in the video is about making yourself emotionally available. Let's be honest about that. Very, very true. A lot of people out there are always trying to date, but they always either are emotionally unavailable, or they're already in a relationship, or you're just trying to date someone who already has a man or a woman. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's a problem. You have to know what you want. And if you want somebody, you have to be emotionally available. And it's one of the bigger issues that I see with my clients. When they can't find love or when they can't attract love, it's because their emotions aren't ready for it. They're not being vulnerable. They're not being open. They're not being ready to find love. So it is something that I find that's very important, is the emotional pillar of being able to be ready to find love. And being ready means you actually have to put work in to bring your romantic interest up and knowing exactly what you actually want. So that is very, very key when you want to find love. You have to be actually available for it. You can't be in another relationship. Let's be honest about that. For real.
But I'm going to say it. When it comes to spirituality, there's some people who are way too emotionally available. I share.
Too emotionally available. I agree.
So from my experience, I've seen that quite a lot going on in the spiritual world. But I also had a personal experience with a guy where he's like, I belong to women. You don't understand. We're spiritual people are so connected with everyone. And I'm like, okay, there's something wrong with that. What do you mean? And he's like, you don't understand. We are multidimensional beings and we share love with everyone. And there's a difference between, love, just, when I love someone, care for them. And there's a difference when we're talking about romantic love. And so I have also experienced with my clients and friends and so family where they say there are men and women who are available to love and be loved by everyone. And this is a part of a spiritual experience. And so, I personally I would just say, agree to disagree in that one. But I just feel more of that when it comes to the personal connection with someone, being romantically available. You literally just open your heart, your mind, and your soul to them. And so when you have the soul energy, between you and another person, and imagine that energy being shared with 100 more people around. So imagine how your energy feels violated.
True.
So that's a part of the emotional, being emotionally available, but to the extreme.
Well, that's true. So there is both extremes. Not making yourself emotionally vulnerable or available at all is a problem. Making yourself too available to everybody and anybody emotionally, not to knock, monogamous and versus polyamory, but, if people can fall in love with multiple people, that's great, but you can only give yourself your attention one time at a time. So, even if you decide that you wanted to love multiple people, you have to understand that your alone time is your alone time, number one. And number two,
right.
Making yourself available to somebody and make yourself emotionally vulnerable is a case-by-case basis. You can't just love multiple people at the same time and in the same minute. You have to space yourself out. So definitely being emotionally vulnerable to way more than one person is a little bit overdoing it, but not being emotionally vulnerable at all is not going to get you anywhere either.
Right.
So let's keep that in mind.
But I'm not talking about lifestyle, because some people this is who I am, this is what I want, this is just fine. I'm talking about others using as an excuse to be too emotionally available. And then there's the other case I want to discuss where people are not emotionally available at all. And so when you meet someone new, you go on a date, mm-hmm. and you say, so what are you looking for? And it's like, it depends what comes my way. What do you mean? Because when you say that, it means that whatever comes your way could just be a relationship, it could just be friends with benefits, it could just be just a sexual connection, it could just be marriage. So literally everything is possible on the table. And so usually, from my experience, these kind of people who are in that sort of sense, when they speak like that, they're emotionally unavailable. Because if they start with you when you go on a date, imagine with how many other people they've said that.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Welcome, Jasmine.
Hey, Jazz.
Yeah, if you guys have any stories to share, feel free. You have any questions, we're here to answer them. Because we have a lot of interesting experiences from past lives and present life.
Yeah.
Which we're going to discuss as soon as we finish these points. So we got through the first two pillars of actually being ready for a relationship. Your mental and emotional state. Mentally, you have to be ready. You have to be clear-minded. You have to not be thinking about your ex all the time. And to keep that in mind, actually, we can compare these notes actually to what you should do in a relationship as well. So we'll go through that. But because in the beginning of a relationship, you can't compare your lover to your ex. That's rude. And it's also unhealthy. So before you get in a relationship, you really need to make sure that your mind is clear. When you get in a relationship, you have to make sure that your mind is clear. Because you cannot bring old baggage in and blame that person for it. And we have a lot of flaws like that, human nature.
Yeah.
So, and number two, making yourself emotionally available. It's also when you first get in a relationship and you're expected to be emotionally vulnerable to your partner, and they expect more out of you, you have to learn how to be even more emotionally vulnerable. So there's definitely, you can take these steps and actually move them forward, and you keep repeating these steps in a relationship.
There's something else I want to add before we even go to number 3. We said about the first time that we need some sort of to be prepared and also enjoy a long time. And the second is to be emotionally available. But listen to this. We all done that. I've done that. So let's say you have your work, and then you have your friends, and then you want to go other weekend, you're traveling the world, you're learning 2 languages, you have your pets, you have 50 hobbies on the side, and you're trying to fit a relationship into all that. That's emotional and available.
It's
because you have no time. So So think about it. So if you could just see yourself right now, if you're being single, right? And you say, okay, how my life is, right? And I want to date someone. To date someone, it needs time. First of all, you need a couple hours to go on a date. Let's start with that, at least in the beginning. Do you have that time? And then let's say that you have a couple dates with different people, and then you feel with someone you're compatible. You get in a relationship. But would you have time for them? Would you have time to, go out on a date, or have time to have deep conversations, get to know them? I feel this is one of the big reasons why couples break up. They don't even have time to get to know each other.
That's a good point. Yeah, I think because what I'm understanding is like these 4 pillars, these 4 reasons you can apply in the relationship, out of the relationship, after a relationship, because it's just natural things that you have to do. And it's the same when you have someone who's super, super busy and doesn't have time. That's also number 1, which is discovering who you are with alone time, actually being mentally there and facing your emotional needs. You can't do that when you're busy. So that's something that I think will just make us a big umbrella problem, is if you're not available at all, you can't find love anyway. If you're not mentally open, emotionally vulnerable, if you're not spiritually aware, and if you're not physically ready, you won't find love. Love won't find you. It'll just be imbalanced, hookups, and you don't want that. So that. So number 3 in the video is to find your passion in life and let that guide you. So we're talking about, personal growth in your personal life and allowing yourself to know what do you want to do with your life. If you want to be a painter, a drawer, if you want to be a psychologist, if you want to be somebody who actually picks up, dirt and moves it from place to place so that you can plant new trees. Knowing what you want, knowing what you're passionate about is super important to find love, because if the person you're trying to date is not on that same wavelength and does not respect that about you or doesn't take that journey with you, the love isn't going to last much longer than that, in my opinion. And in my experience professionally, it doesn't last long if your emotions are not on par with that, with your passion, with your aspirations. So it is the spiritual pillar of how to be ready for love, because spirituality is about finding your inner peace and inner passions and inner purpose. And you have to find that inner purpose in order to discover love. So it's something that a lot of people do. I mean, they'll ignore their emotional needs or mental needs. They'll go straight for the passion. Like, I really, really want a guy who loves to travel, or I really love a guy who loves, Italian food on a Saturday night. Like, that's great, but you have to keep it all balanced. But it's very key that with number 3, your spiritual wellness about it. You do need to know what is your passion and let it guide you in those directions.
Yeah, because let's say that someone asks you right now, where do you see yourself going in life? We're talking away from a partner, right? So if you don't have a direction, you are going to be guided by your partner. And it's simple as that. I've done that before. And I was in a very dark place in my life many, many years ago. And I was not looking for love. I was looking for a way out. And so it's something that I realized years later. And so when I got in a relationship with my ex, I was with him for 9 years. That was tough because my mental state, I had specific thoughts about how my life should be. My emotional state was not even matching my mental state because emotionally I was feeling trapped. And then spiritually, I was having my visions about past lives. I have a bunch of other spiritual stuff happening in my life. And then in my physical body, I was feeling stuck at home. So we're talking about 4 different things that were not matching each other. And whatever my ex would suggest, it would sound like a good idea. Not that I didn't have my own opinion, but I didn't have direction myself, where I was going. And so I was saying, perhaps this could be a good idea. Yeah. So let's say move to a different area, or do this job together, or help me with my paperwork. And I was just saying, okay, maybe that's an opportunity. But there was not that in my mind, actually. What was that was confusion. I was confused. And so I was just following around. And when I got out, I just understood, hey, Mel. So I just understood that, oh my God, what was happening all this time? I felt I was in limbo. And this is the part where when I got out and I started working on myself, I actually started finding direction. Hi, Roxana! So I started finding direction of where I want to go in life. And then my dating life started changing. I stopped attracting the same people. Even if they were not the ideal people I was looking for to date, but at least the crowd I was looking for started changing.
That's true. Very true. So yeah, welcome all of you. If you have any questions about love, feel free to drop them in. So we have gone through the process of, number one, discovering who you are through alone time, which is your mental clarity. Number two, finding yourself to be emotionally available, which is your emotional clarity. And now we're on number three, which is finding your passion and letting it guide you. I think you make a very good point. Because if you don't find your passion, you get in a relationship, their passion overrules you, and then you do whatever the hell they want you to do, and then you're just stuck, you know?
Yeah.
So I love number three because, you know, when you find your passion, you let it guide you. I feel like that's definitely a way to find love. Like for me, I found people who really care, and I found people in my life don't even care. When I started to find my passion, like my passion is spirituality, right? And no matter what I do, no matter where I work, I'm still going to be doing this. And that has brought me closer to people who actually matter to me. That brought me to people who love me as much as I love them. And that's because I found my passion, I followed it, and I let it guide me to my soul family, people who are on my same level, my tribe, right? And that took so long to figure out. It took like 25, 26 years to figure out, you know. So, but it worked, you know, it really does work. You have to find out what you're passionate about, whether it be public speaking, art, or maybe culinary, you know, fantastic, you know, skills and that you can carry on in your home. These things can actually function as foundations for you to find people that you care about. So if you're really good at cooking and you want to associate yourself with other cooks, then you can find cooking classes to make friends who actually love to cook. You know, if you like meditating and you don't want to do it alone, there is so many meditation groups, even in Chicago, even in other cities. There's meditation groups, there's Buddhist meditation, Hindu meditation, there's even Baha'i meditation, Muslim prayers, Christian prayers, Catholic prayers. There's all kinds of meditative states that you can join in with other people who are like you. So it's very key to find out who you are and what your passion is. That spiritual passion will actually be your personal growth. That personal growth finds you love. Yeah. And I strongly believe that because I've seen it with my own eyes. I know that preparing for love is clearing your mental state so that you're not thinking about everything, you're ready. And being emotionally vulnerable and not being too overly vulnerable is so key. But I think that the meat of it is to really truly find your passion in life and let it guide you rather than let other people guide you. Let other people tell you what to do. Find out what makes you happy, and that itself should lead towards people who actually love you.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. So that is that spiritual pillar. And the physical pillar of being ready to find love is about seeking love, not lust. And that is after the meat of the project. It is the how you keep things together, and also the step before you get in a relationship, because it's physical contact, hugs, kisses, and eventually sex. So seeking love and not lust. It's about making sure that your actions match your intentions. Making sure that your physical expressions match your spiritual and emotional needs and your wants. And it is one of the most difficult ones. Like, clearing your mind and not thinking about your ex is easy. You know, being emotionally vulnerable and available for someone to love you, a little bit harder, but it's doable. Finding your passion, that's pretty difficult because it takes really inner work. But the most difficult of all is to express all those things in your physical body, and then to not let it overwhelm you, and to find love without letting sex become more important. And it's one of the things that I see a lot of people struggle with. They struggle with that last part, the physical pillar of how to find love, and actually how to keep it too. It's in relationships, it's a struggle.
Yeah.
It's a super struggle. So it's definitely something that we'll talk about a lot here, because it is one of the bigger problems that people find when they're trying to find love. I see them trying to find love by, jumping from sexual partner to sexual partner. I see people trying to find love by doing what somebody else wants to do rather than voicing out their opinion. So those are some ways that, it's negative, but we can turn that into a positive for sure.
Also, physical love is a lot about of what you were taught by your culture, your society, and how they define love. And I can just tell you, there's so many different cultures, so many different mentalities. My friend Roxana just told some amazing stories from Japan, and I was just like mind blown of how people there, they don't even have physical contact, like they don't hug in public, or they don't hold hands. So there is not that physical expression of love. And so, I mean, from my culture, more Eastern culture, is a little bit difficult. I don't understand that, because I do want to hold someone's hand, just, hug him, kiss him. I want, that's an expression, for me. And then this is the part where also, you understand where do you stand as a person and how much you have been influenced from your own, culture and society. For example, I do know, for example, like in Greece, most people fall in love and love each other, and they create that connection, not for the sake of the connection, but for marriage. There is a purpose to it. True. And it's not the couple's purpose. It's, the expectations of both sides of the family and other pushing. Why you're not married yet? Why you don't do this? Why you don't have kids yet? Why you're not engaged? Why you're going on so many dates? Why you're dating for 2 years and you're not official yet? And so there's so much pressure, and many people lose themselves during the process because they try to balance themselves as to where they stand and balance everyone else out, what they expect them to do. And this is, I feel, why many people are so lost of how to find love and how to even keep it.
Yes. So I just posted an article called How to Maintain a Healthy Relationship. And in that article, one of the points that I make is that in order to really preserve the healthy balance in a relationship, you need to learn your partner's love language.
Yeah.
And in that point, I describe exactly what you said, which is if you talk to any people who know a lot of international people, because we do, like I've been friends with everyone from Asia. When we were in Greece together, we were dealing with all kinds of people. I know a lot of Middle Eastern people. I obviously know a lot of South American, Central American people. So I know and dipped in a lot of different cultures to understand the way people think. And it really is different. Not everyone is the same. And you cannot make that mistake, because I made that mistake where I thought love language is one thing. And I got the rude awakening on my life where, somebody I was trying to date had a whole different way of loving. Mm-hmm. Like, did you know that in China, in some places in China, they're so traditional that actually they don't really hug, or they don't even kiss, or they don't even say, I love you. It's not really customary. They express their love, like in some cultures there, they express their love through actions only. So buying stuff for your wife, buying groceries, buying things for the kids. So they express their love in different ways. And it's not wrong, it's just different. And it's just not the way I grew up, because I grew up in like a Hispanic community, and we're all very lovey, touchy people.
Same in Greece, just like everyone wants to hug you.
It's actually, it's like we express with our hands, we express with our faces, like we just express almost too much. I would say too much. So, but it was so different, dating people in different cultures, because people have these different cultural backgrounds and they love differently and they express love differently. And it's so key that when you get in a relationship that you understand that it is so important to learn that person's love language and also learn how much their culture has influenced their love language. Because some people like us, like we know so many people, we've been influenced by so many people that we don't really stick to one culture. I don't stick to one religion. I don't stick to one culture. I'm my own person, and I honor my cultural upbringing, but I don't let me tell me what to do. And so I decide on my own culture. But not everyone's like that. So it's almost like you have to find compatibility with somebody who does that. And that, I mean, that's why we get along, because we do the same thing. We're really, 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 really close because we have the same outlook on love and relationships and partnerships and how that's important. We both don't follow any religions. We both don't follow any sort of like cultural norm, you know. So those things actually allow us to actually understand each other.
Yeah.
Hey, Manna, welcome.
And Zaya?
Yeah.
Hi.
Hello. Welcome. So we're definitely talking about the fourth pillar, the physical pillar in finding love, seeking love, but not lust. And seeking love is hard because in order to get love, you have to get through the physical.
Yeah.
The final test of finding love is to be able to express your heart in a physical way. That is difficult because we're talking about love, kisses, hugs, sex, and those are the hardest part of keeping love. You have to be able to do that. And another point in my article that I actually posted was about allowing for sexuality to be an emotional experience. And you can read about it in the article that I posted. So it's about actually allowing your emotional healing and emotional strength, emotional bonding to be part of your love experience. Allowing sexuality to be part of love is okay. It's natural. Allowing for it to take over, it's a problem. 100% a problem. So it's one of those things. Physically, you have to be on the same page as someone. And physically and emotionally mixed into culturally, and we're going to definitely discuss that because that's so important. But with all those different pillars, it's all about finding that love and being ready for that love. So to repeat, in order to find love, here's my best suggestion. Based on the tips that I gave in the video, you need to do 4 things. You have to focus on the 4 aspects, the 4 elements, the 4 pieces of who you are. Your mind, your emotions, your spirit, and your body. And my best tips, and this will be for a long time to come because it's a learning journey. And even in my life, it's a learning journey, is to definitely focus on those emotional, physical needs, those individual desires, your personal growth, and making sure your actions match your intentions. With those things in mind, you'll be ready for love. There's no real way to find love. But you can be ready, and you can try, and there's surefire ways you can attract people like you into your life. That's for sure. Finding love is not a guarantee. Attracting people who love you, that I can guarantee.
Yeah. And also you attract what you think you deserve. And it's so very important because if you're in a stage in your life where you don't really care about yourself much, you try to care about other people, and you don't practice self-love, you don't think that everyone will love you, and then you just expect someone to just show up and love you, because you're technically contradicting yourself.
Yeah.
You say, oh, I don't think anyone will love me, but then you want someone to love you. And so there will be people around you. Sometimes you don't even pay attention. There are people around you who are interested in you. But because you have all these thoughts and these beliefs about yourself, you will never even see them. Even if they try to approach you and then even ask you, go out for a coffee or a drink or just have a conversation over the phone, and you say, oh, today I'm busy. Oh, the next day, I just have work, or say, I'm not feeling it. But I'm not talking about just one person. Because it's okay to say, oh, I'm not feeling the pressure, so I just don't want to give them my time. But if it happens with multiple people, then you know that there's something is wrong. Not with them, but with you. And not in a bad sense there's something wrong with you, but there is a part of yourself that doesn't believe you can be loved. And so this is where
Yeah.
you miss all these opportunities and all these people who are just ready to connect with you, but you're not ready to connect with them.
Definitely. I think that definitely fits into the first and second steps, which are the mental and emotional. Like, you can't be ready to spiritually and passionately find out who you want and what you want unless you understand that you deserve love. Because let's talk about cultural and home influences on love. About love, something that a lot of people don't like to hear, but it's important, is when it comes to love, your first lesson of what love means comes from the home.
Yep.
Okay? It just is what it is. Your mom, your dad, your female or male figure in your life taught you how to love. Therefore, you have to assess, I mean, we did that work too, personal work, where you have to assess that male or female figure and figure out how did they affect your life, what did they do for you, and what did they teach you about what love is. And you have to write that down and say, was that right or was that wrong? You can have a lovely mother, a lovely father, or you can have a shitty mother, a shitty father, but it's all about you as an adult knowing the difference between right and wrong. And my parents were imperfect. You know, they far from perfect. So I had to pick myself up and understand that just because I have a desire to be loved doesn't mean I'm going to find it if I continue to do the same mistakes that I see. Because children definitely do not do what you tell them. They do what they see. And if you don't lead by example, they're just going to follow your footsteps. So something that we have to understand is there's mommy and daddy issues. We all got it.
I was about to say that.
And if you don't have a mommy, you have mommy issues too. You don't have a daddy, you still have daddy issues too. If your parents were good to you, that's great, but you still got issues. If your parents abused you, you still got issues because we all have it. We're all together in this. And your love, your first example of love is your parents or your single parent. That's your first example of love. And you must acknowledge that that's the base of what you grew up knowing. And you have to unlearn the bad habits, if there's bad habits, and then relearn good habits and teach yourself how to love and teach yourself that you deserve it. Because so many homes, people and children have been told that they're not worthy. Mm-hmm. Like, you're not good enough and how dare you and you do bad stuff. Like, we have those mental dialogues in our minds, and it just takes over, and we can't find love that way. When you constantly hear, you know, like maybe like a aggressive aunt or mother in your head in your childhood telling you that you were never good enough, you're not sexy enough for that guy, whatever, all that is in your head. And it's got to be cleared before you even get to the emotional state. So when you're trying to find love this month or this year, do a mental check where you meditate and you start to think, you just sit there in silence and you say the word love. Let all the memories come to your head. Everything that anyone's ever told you negative or positive about love, your parents, your cousins, your mother, your sister, your brother, all that family stuff, let it show you what love is, what love was told to you. Then you immediately know all the stuff you need to unlearn. And when you unlearn that unleashes your mind so that you can actually find love. And you have to find love by clearing your head of your exes, your family, your friends, and anyone who's told you that you're not good enough. It is so important to start with that. Don't start with making yourself emotionally vulnerable. Don't start with sex. Please don't start with sex. Jesus, we're going to talk about don't start with sex. And yep. Find your passion, but don't start with that. No. Finding love starts with you clearing out all of the emotional things in your head. All the intentions that you have that were left over from previous relationships, from home, from your upbringing, and from your inner dialogue of you telling yourself that you're worthy or you're sexy or whatever. That you saw first. That's step one. That is your mental, that's your mental pillar with love. You start there. That's that first pillar, is discovering who you are by embracing yourself. So start there.
But we forgot one big thing to mention.
Oh, we're going to mention it all. We have time.
Yeah, we didn't mention about mass media. That's a really big one.
Oh my God! We all grew up that way. Okay, who didn't? who? Let's be honest. Who didn't grow up thinking that what they saw on TV was the beauty standard that they need to fit?
Telenovelas.
You know, like I mean, it's true. And then unfortunately, we live in a reality where, you know, all of our history comes back to bite us in the ass. And when we deal with like a European dominated society where, Europe for thousands of years did sort of take over the whole damn world, it left a lot of cultural norms of beauty that is not the same. So let's add that 1.5. In order to find love, you need to know that you're beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
And knowing you're beautiful is basically unlearning that you were told that you're not by your parents or your family, or unlearning that your ex told you were not beautiful, or unlearning what the social media or mass media has told you. Hey there, welcome.
Hi.
We're talking about love. So definitely unlearning that, because TV is wrong. Movies were wrong. and it's unfortunate because when you introduce all these movies and even cartoons to kids.
Oh, yeah.
Even we're going to talk about that. Princess Syndrome.
Disney.
Oh.
No.
We're going to talk about Princess.
I saw a post not a long time ago. It was one of my friends on Facebook, and she posted this amazing post about every single Disney princess. Mm-hmm. And what women really learn, and also what men learn, what love is.
Oh, we're going to debunk that really quick.
And children are being raised watching that.
Yep, and they're not told that that's not normal. They're just told, watch this, go to your room. No, you have to tell kids, this is a fantasy, and it's fun.
Because think of it. Let's start with that. Like Cinderella, what was wrong with her? She had to be all pretty and dressed up, and she had to have nice shoes. She had to have a nice dress. She had to have nice hair, makeup to be loved. Otherwise, she was single. Can we agree on that? And what kind of example that gives to girls out there? And also another thing that I noticed today, where did you know that in Google Store there are many apps that there are quote-unquote ugly girls, and you have to dress them up to be able to date. And there I saw some dialogues on my phone, really, literally 10 minutes before we even started live. And the cartoon guy looked at the cartoon girl and said, "You're so ugly. You're only good to clean my home and give me babies." It just like that. And I was in shock. And then your whole purpose of the game is to start taking care of the girl, do her hair, do her makeup, find nice clothes, and you're still not good enough. So they show another girl, she looks prettier, and she's like, "I'm still good enough, help me." And then with beaks, they say, help me. And then it's where the ad stopped. And I was looking at it, and I'm like, these games are being played by little girls.
Oh my God.
So you see how children are being indoctrinated on what love really is. And when they grow up, look right now what happens with influencers. They have to look a specific way to attract men or women to love them.
Yeah.
And so
true.
And so everyone tries to be that. Like, oh, you see, they get attention, and they think that attention is love.
That's true. 100%. Let's be honest about this, because we all have that inside of us, because we were all taught something. I mean, not even taught, but we just saw something when we were kids, and we said, that's normal. And it's not. It's not. Normal is unique. And exactly, it is.
There you go, programming. Yep.
So it's time to undo that programming, and you have to do that. And on that topic, programming happens in the home too. If you have for instance, giving little girls baby dolls to take care of is just prepping them for being mothers. They're just kids. So that's just like this conditioning and this programming that we shouldn't do to our children. We should allow for them to grow and aspire to be, good people. Not to aspire to be an astronaut. No, just aspire to be good people. And so that they can know their self-worth, so that when they look for love, they find people who see them worthy. Yeah. And it's so important. And, too many, even before, the internet and TV and all that, for hundreds and hundreds of years, women were probably told that you're good enough for what you can give a man. And it's babies, because you grow up seeing, especially in my culture, hundreds of years ago, every mother has 10 or more kids. So you grow up knowing that that's all that you can offer. Well, that's at least the base of what you should offer.
Yeah.
And in today's world, there's so many people on the planet, like we're overflowing. So many people are starving because we have too many people on this planet. And we have an opportunity for women to actually embrace a different path, to do something productive and to change the world without having to give so many babies. If you want a baby, there's plenty to adopt. You need a pet. There's plenty of pets who need adoption. There's plenty of opportunity to be a mother. And there's also plenty of opportunity to be a good person and to be an influencer of society. So the world has changed, but what hasn't changed is our human nature. And we accept programming as a kid, whether it be conscious or subconscious, TV or our mothers telling us what to do. And before you start finding love, before you find somebody who's just like your dad or just like your mom, let's talk about that.
Yep.
You have to unlearn the programming that you were told and reinvent what that means. So let's talk about that real quick, because a lot of people don't like to talk about it. We need to talk about it. Let's be honest about the home and how that affects you. Constantly, you will date people who are like your dad, who are like your mom, or who are like your parental figure. And that is because, like we said, before you start loving, you have to understand that your idea of love started with your parents or the people who raised you. And that example was what set out for your life. And then you see men and women just like that. And that's why men want to date someone just like their mother, or, that stupid thing, And that's not the same for everyone, because not everyone has a good parent. And I found that doing that myself, trying to date people like my parents. And I was like, oh my God, what am I doing? It's just so weird, because it doesn't seem natural, but at the same time, that's all I know.
Yeah, I was about to say that because you grew up in that mentality. And so it is your comfort space. It becomes a habit, and it becomes natural to you. You only know the difference if someone on the outside tells you, hey, you know what you're doing? You're doing this. And then some people take it into account. They're like, oh, maybe that's true. Some others are like, no, this is how things are.
Yeah. You can't go with what you're comfortable with. And that's not how you find love.
Yeah, because, for example, with my step-parents, I don't know, since I remember them, 30 or almost 40 years, the only thing that I knew from them is love is fighting with each other, shouting at each other. And so when I go with a big relationship with my ex, when things were calm at home, I was feeling that there's no love there. And when we were fighting, we were shouting at each other, Mel, that makes sense. And so I felt, oh my God, he really cares about me. He loves me. When we started fighting, and then another thing that I learned from my step-parents is that after the fight, my stepfather used to buy her clothes, or he used to buy her like purses or gifts, to just fix the relationship. If there was not a gift involved in my relationship, I felt that he doesn't care. And it took me so many years to understand that after a fight, if I expect a gift, it means that I'm still running on what's comfortable for me. It means that what I was taught at home, and I haven't fixed it yet. Yeah. So that's one of the many, many things that I learned.
Yeah, this is why a lot of people end up dating people of the same culture, because you guys have the same idea of what love is. Yeah. Because you grew up in the same cultural influence. And that's not necessary. Because then later on, when 20 years into your relationship and you find out another passion, another something, if your partner doesn't carry with you, or it becomes an encompassing part of your life, and you don't want to raise children anymore, and you want to do, paint, you want to sell paintings on the street because that's your new passion, your husband better be with you, because that's not how you guys are raised. Well, so it's like, people change. Even if you stick with someone who's of your culture, people change every day. Decades pass by and you still change. So expect that change is going to happen. So never settle for someone who's comfortable, because change will always happen. And you just have to be adaptable. You have to be ready for change, and you have to grow with your partner, but never let that change take you over. And also never let your comfort confuse you with a loving situation that's not real. It's something that is subconscious. A lot of people don't deal with that, but some people really got to focus on it because it's key. You have to see the pattern psychologically. What goes on in people's heads that they just automatically do. And we automatically date people like our parents. We automatically think we're as beautiful as we were told when we were kids. We automatically think that you're supposed to date someone for your culture because it's easy. Of course. You automatically think these things. You have to unlearn it. You want to find love, you have to start with number one, your mind. You have to undo the unhealthy habits that you learned when you were younger. You have to find yourself. You got to be alone to know who you are with somebody else first. You have to be alone. You have to figure out you. And especially between relationships, I don't stress that enough. Take breaks between your relationships. Never jump. It's not healthy. And do that, and then you can start your process where you go into your emotional state, where you try to find out what you emotionally want. Then you go into your spiritual state, where you find out what is your purpose in life and how to bind that with other people, friends and lovers. Then you go into your sex state, your physical state, your physical exercise, like things that you love to do, hiking and all the physical things that you want to do, cuddling and romantic, language with your body. Like there's so many things that go into that, but trust me, physical doesn't start anything. It just confuses everything. This is why it's advisable when you start a relationship, which we should probably do a live about. I think we're definitely going to do a live about tips on dating because, geez, we need to know. And tips on relationship because I just posted an article about it. But it's very key that when you start a relationship that you take the steps to go through that. You talk about your mind, your emotions, your spiritual aspirations, and then you get to the physical. But if you start with sex, it's confusing. You know why? Because you're rushing. The body's last. The body is last on that priority list. So definitely when you want to find love, never seek love, not lust. Just keep it in your head. We can do that by ourselves, if you know what I mean. You don't need another person to bring sexual satisfaction. You can do that on your own. It's not a rush. Okay? Not a rush. And when you focus on your emotions first, you find love faster. And it's definitely something that is it's hard to follow because we're stuck in a very sexually driven society. But there is hope. There is hope.
Oh, that's cute.
That's cool. Yeah. Quote me on that. Quote me on it. Yes. So let's talk about...
There's something we want to mention about it.
Yeah, we also mentioned past lives. Let's do that.
Yes. But before that, I wanted to say that... I wanted to say that during the process, when you find yourself and when you take what you like from your culture, what you like from your family to bring to your love life, remember that you might have people in your family or your friends who are not going to like it. And you might feel that there's a point in your life where you're alone. Mm-hmm. I've been through that. Mm-hmm. Because, for example, when I was born and raised in Greece, right? And everyone expected me, if you date someone, you have to get married. But I never felt that way. I never felt that I want to be married. I never felt I want to have kids. That was not my sole purpose. That I was here on this planet for something different, for something, I had a higher purpose. And so, I felt alienated in my own country because I didn't follow those patterns. But I found out that during the process, I actually attracted soul family and people who are the same wavelength as me, people who can understand me and not judge me for who I am and what I want. And when you start changing your cycle of friends and soul family, it's also when you start attracting your soul partner.
That's true. So with the time we have left, let's talk about common myths about finding love, and then we're going to wrap it up with our past life perspective on finding love. So, common myths about finding love. Let's debunk or try to give our opinion on it, and you guys can give your opinion too. Some people say you'll find love when you're not looking. Well...
Hi, Donna.
Yeah. Hey, Donna. I don't necessarily... I mean, if you're not looking, it's like trying to find a job without applying for it.
Yeah, that's true.
That doesn't make any sense. So I think a better way to say that is you can find love when you stop searching so much. Like if you're searching 24/7, you're not doing yourself a good service. And if you're searching too little, also a disservice. But if you put that search in with your lifestyle, you'll be fine.
Just be emotionally available.
Yeah, just be available, but don't just not try and expect someone to just fall in love with you.
Fall from the sky, right?
Yeah, or on the train, or we've all been there. Like, oh, he looked at me. He looked at me. It's love. There's no such thing as love at first sight. It doesn't happen. Not like that. Like, if you remember someone from a different lifetime, that's love at first sight. But love at first sight on the train or the bus or in public or at work, no, that's sex at first sight. That's lust at first sight. No. Don't get it confused. Another common myth is sex first, questions later. Going around trying to find love through sex does not work. And, I've had plenty of friends, family members, and even clients who have done that. And then they end up in really toxic relationships because you're not supposed to lead with your body.
Or they go confused.
You get really confused. You have to practice self-discipline. You can't let your body speak for you, speak for your mind and your soul. No. Your soul and your mind speak through your body. Your body does not speak for your mind or your soul. So you got to do it in order. And don't be ashamed if you did it wrong, because we've all done it wrong at some point. Just learn from your mistakes and grow. That's what being human is all about. Agree? The next one is dressing for the part, that you have to dress, kind of like when you have to dress for the job that you want. Like a lot of, especially women, think that they have to dress really sexy and so a man can like them. I disagree. I think that men can like you for your intelligence, but it's the right type of guy. You know? Hey, D.
Hi.
Guy. So yeah, would you agree? Like you don't have to dress so sexy to attract a guy. You just have to dress vibrant, like wear like a nice red shirt, you know?
It's all about your energy.
Yes, it's about the energy you give off.
Because,
Yep.
when you take the makeup off, and when you take those fancy clothes off, and let's see if the person wants to still date you.
Yeah, exactly.
That's when you know.
Yeah, don't fake it. Like, just go without makeup. Whatever, just wear very little makeup. Just wear less makeup so they can see exactly what they're going to get. Don't be afraid.
Because sometimes, I've noticed that, when you wear makeup, for example, you have a specific persona. You feel a different way, and there's a reason as to why you do. Mm-hmm. Or when you wear specific clothes, you feel a specific way. It is because you try to create a barrier around you, or you try to create an idea of who you are. And when someone falls in love with you on the first day, like, oh my God, she or he, they look amazing. But they like the idea of what you're presenting to them.
Yeah.
But know who you are.
Yeah, they should ask, why'd you like that color? You gotta know why people do stuff, not that they do it. Like, I love red, it makes me feel sexy. No, why do you like red? That's a good question. so that. Another common myth is about, oh my God, people are like, my type. No, your type is not the one, okay? That's ridiculous. I've never met anyone till this day, like show me somebody who has chosen their exact type and it just worked out. Physical type I'm talking about, physical type. It doesn't work that way. And even if you found like Brad Pitt or like George Clooney or whoever's your sexual type.
Give it 6 months.
Yeah, just give it 40 years. They're going to sag just like you. So what are you trying to do? So what? So when they start getting old, you're going to go cheat on them? I don't think so. That's a myth that needs to go away. Stop choosing your type. Find your emotional type. Choose those people. They're like, okay, you can't date someone who you really, really, really are sexually unattracted to. Okay, that makes sense. But there's imperfection. Everyone has imperfections. You have to compromise with some things to find love. If that person's personality is 100% beautiful, it does not matter if they have abs. It just matters if they're healthy. Like if they're healthy, they have a healthy lifestyle like you, that matters. But if you really want them to look like a supermodel, what are you doing? No, don't do that.
But can we talk about fetishes?
Oh, that can be another live.
No. Hold on. When you date people because they're bald or because they have short hair or because they have a specific body type, and it doesn't matter the personality, it doesn't matter who you are, what you are. It's about that one thing they're being attracted. So let's say someone is attracted to big hoops, right? And they just date girls who just have big hoops. Or
big other things. So just okay, it's not wrong to like what you like. It's wrong to not value other people who don't have what you like. So if you like a guy who's bald and you don't date anyone who's not bald, that's dumb. Date everyone. You can like bald guys. You can even like bald guys in a relationship. But you can't override love. Love has no physical energy. Love is an energy. Remember that.
So that's what I'm saying. That if you date just bald guys, and it doesn't matter, like one guy could be single, another could be married, someone else could be just like a criminal. You know, it doesn't matter who they are. It's just that physical thing that you're being attracted to. So that's what I'm talking about. Dating someone just because it's your fetish, but you don't even care about the personality. So this is not gonna work.
It doesn't work. Sex first doesn't work. I'm just saying. You can try it and then contact me in 10 years when it fails, because it doesn't work. Sex first doesn't work. You got to get over it. It doesn't matter what we were taught when we were teenagers. It still don't work. So anyways, okay, so our last archetype, our last common myths are archetypes. Archetyping your romantic interest, specifically 2 archetypes. Number 1, the knight in shining armor, and number 2, the bad boy,
or the good girl and the bad girl.
Yeah. Okay. Like, let's stop. Okay. We all, as little girls and boys, we all want, someone to come save us or someone to be the damsel in distress. Like, no, that's not real. We gotta stop choosing the knight in shining armor. There's no such thing. It's usually shining armor that's plastic. Okay, it's plastic. So it's just not okay. And looking for the bad boys are great. Maybe,
but for how long?
But for how long?
And then the relationship turns toxic.
Yeah, and then you have to teach them how to be emotionally vulnerable, and that's like raising a whole nother child. So let's be honest. So those are archetypes that if there's anyone you're trying to archetype, you're looking for a specific type, and you think, the emotional type, I want a bad boy. That's not a type. That's just you being emotionally mature and wanting good sex over emotional comfort. I'm sorry. You have to, it does not matter. Okay, let me make this very clear. Sex is not that important in the beginning. Sex is important in the relationship. You have to have a good chemistry, emotional chemistry, to have a good sexual chemistry. Because if the sex is so good in the beginning, it falls off. It always falls off. It falls off because the honeymoon phase changes and sex becomes part of your normal expression between two people. So if you want a good sex life, you have to communicate what you like. You don't have to go out there and find a guy who just knows. No. Communicate. Emotionally express yourself through sex. Communicate with your partner what you like. And expect that in love. So that means when you start to date, if you want to find someone who loves you, don't choose them because you think you're going to be sexually compatible. Choose them because of emotional compatibility, because that is a better chance of finding real, true chemistry. Because then sex might follow. And then you can show them what you like, and sex just gets better over time. It just gets better over time. There's no such thing as sexual compatibility leading anything. That's a lie. Sorry, it's just a lie, and it doesn't work. Emotional compatibility is key. And you can show people what you like. It's not necessary to go after what you see on TV. Just saying.
How not to find love. Another thing I want to mention, because I've done that in the past.
Oh, yeah.
But it's something that I learned from my own stepfamily, and I ran into it for a long time. So I had to change that. Mm-hmm. And so try to date someone just to change them. Don't do that.
Don't do that.
So you meet, because you go back to the stereotypes, right? So you meet the good guy or the good girl, and be like, oh, I'm gonna get the bad side out of them, make them like a bad girl or a bad boy, and make them not like that. Or the other way around, you meet like the bad guy or the bad girl, right? And you're like, I'm gonna tame them, I'm gonna change them.
No one changes. There's no such thing as people changing. You just discover who you are. That's it.
Yeah.
It's just the way it is. We've seen plenty of past lives to just prove it. It's the same. We're just the same no matter what lifetime. We are who we are.
You can't change a person. You can
no.
unless they want to make changes for themselves.
Yeah.
They won't change for you.
They won't change. Never change for you. It's a lie.
You know the only way they're gonna do it? Only to have sex with you.
Yeah, don't.
They're gonna change until they get when they get sex. Once they get sex, that's it. Gone.
Yeah, don't get confused. Don't get confused. And just handle it yourself.
Yep.
Then you won't really be confused. So those are tips. I think we have a lot of material in that because there's so much to talk about. We'll eventually make a live about dating. Tips on dating because like those things like not trying to change a person when you first meet someone, tips on actually dating someone, and we're going to create a live in the future about that because I think it's so key. People need to know how to date and what to expect in that first like month of dating someone because it's so key. People just don't know, and I'm going to make sure you know because we're going to be honest about it. You can expect nothing but honesty out of us. So in terms of past life perspective, like we said, past lives, present life, same thing. It does not matter what dimension, what lifetime you came from. Same thing. Every soul wants to love another soul, and we act the same. There's no people who are more intelligent than you. They're still the same. Same flaws, same everything. People think they're richer than you or poorer than you. Same flaws, same everything. We're all the same. So is something that we've learned over time. Just exploring past lives actually allows you to see more of that faster. So that is our steps and our tips on love and finding it and being ready for it. If you came in late, you can rewatch the whole video and to see those tips. And also I posted a video and an article on relationships recently on my page and on my website. So in a few days, we're going to have our Valentine's Day.
Time to tarot?
Yeah, in Time to tarot, we're going to have our Valentine's Day Lover's Blessing. That's going to be fun. Join us for that. A lot of love readings going along.
Yes.
And we're going to be premiering our new love services. I'm doing Past Life Love Services. I'm going to be releasing it this weekend or Monday. And Luna's going to be doing
Love Like Codes. So be ready.
Yeah, love's near. We want to be able to help you out in the best way possible. And so leave any questions in the comments after. We'd love to answer any questions or like compare notes on what's good love, what's bad love, how to find it. Because man, if you just talk to your partners, you talk to your friends, you can get some real advice. And we will be honest with you.
Yes. And another thing, before we go, if you have like a specific topic that you guys want us to talk about, just drop it down in the comments.
Yeah. We're open to different topics that if we think that's a topic that we can educate on, like specifically, if I'm going to create a video on it and then I could bring Luna in on hammering it home. Yeah, I think that if you want to know, we should know.
Yeah.
Let's do it. So yeah, it was a pleasure seeing you guys today. Happy early Valentine's Day.
Yes.
If you're single out there, don't even think to be ashamed that you're single. Being single is being happy too. Knowing yourself is something to be proud of. If you're in a relationship out there, read my article about how keeping healthy relationships and how to maintain them. Compare notes with me, and let's make sure that we're good with that.
And cheers to single people.
Yeah.
Or the other way. It has like the heart.
Cheers to single people. Yeah.
Cheers. Thank you guys for being here. Mwah.
All right. See
Many
you guys.
kisses.
Yeah. See you guys next week. And we'll talk about the topic in the description of what next week's gonna be about. Talk soon.
Bye.
Bye.